The city is releasing its funding to the art gallery in the face of ballooning construction costs. Good evening, I'm Ryan Benazzo, pleased to join you in the TBT Newshour. The Thunder Bay Art Gallery's new building won't be left out in the cold as City Council voted to release the previously approved $5 million during last night's meeting. The funds will help keep construction going so the facility can be weather tight before winter. It also buys gallery officials some time to fundraise for that $23 million shortfall. Jessica Clement has the details.
In a unanimous vote Monday night, City Council agreed to release the $5 million committed back in 2017 to the Thunder Bay Art Gallery for its project on the waterfront. The funds will be released in 2 stages, according to City Treasurer Carrie Greaves.
50% to be released once the funding agreement between the art gallery and the city is fully executed, and the remaining 50% upon execution of the required land lease amendments.
Gallery Executive Director Matthew Hills gave councillors an update on the project, noting that the price tag has seen another big increase, with it now estimated at $75 million. The gallery currently has funding commitments totaling $52 million. The $5 million from the city is expected to help move construction along to protect the building from the weather and give gallery officials more time to pursue other fundraising efforts to make up the $23 million shortfall.
We're speaking to all levels of government. The opportunity that's presented to us here is to return to all stakeholders, to look at various other programs, strategies to overcome this variance. We're having productive conversations at every level, and we're leaving no stone unturned.
At-large Councillor Rajni Agarwal asked if the gallery considered a phased approach to opening the facility.
Can you open and can you do something? And then say, okay, next we'll open this section when we raise X amount of dollars later.
Yes, absolutely. It's a conversation we're open to and have been responsive in discussion with the city. I think for us as an institute, for us as a gallery, having secured $52 million in support for this project, having experienced some of the challenges of COVID pandemic, the supply line, material supplies, inflation, potential tariff wars, we know that this project has merited this level of support. We are confident in this process and that we will secure the additional funds.
Hills told council they're also open to other avenues of fundraising through partnerships with local waterfront businesses and local artists in the area.
We are a mid-sized not-for-profit with a national reputation because of our collection, because of the strength of culture in this city. We have that level of profile. When we look at our growth in that new facility and what it means to our organization, we anticipate a renewed level of outreach, being able to serve our region, serve the entire North in a very different way.
Jessica Clement, TBT News.
Also during last night's meeting, council members unanimously approved a plan to allocate more than $250,000 from capital reserves to the Eye on the Street program and its Phase 3 expansion. The funds match a grant from the province's Guns and Gangs program. The total expansion project budget is just over $509,000. Phase 3 will see 15 new camera locations, upgraded software and hardware, and enhanced live viewing capabilities. At-large Councillor Casey Atraney asked how the previous stages can help make this next expansion a success.
Are there any lessons that we've learned from Phase 1 and 2 to help support where Phase 3 cameras will be going?
Yes, lessons have been learned. Also, technology has improved. So taking advantage of both really helps us extend the how far we can spend the money, how much of the more of the project we can bite off with the dollars awarded.
The city currently has 27 active camera locations. Thunder Bay Police will be consulted on the 15 new locations. The Ontario government is investing more than $5 million for Lakehead University to train hundreds of additional teachers. This funding is part of a wider provincial plan to address Ontario's teacher shortage. Justin Hardy explains.
The province is spending $56 million to add 2,600 new teaching spaces across Ontario universities by 2027. And Lakehead University is getting more than $5 million of that to add 488 students to its programs. The goal is to ensure more full-time qualified teachers enter the classroom and reduce the reliance on part-time or temporary instructors. Thunder Bay Atikokan MPP Kevin Holland calls this announcement a big first step.
Our government recognizes the quality programming that's being offered here at Lakehead University to train the next teachers that are really going to provide that basis, that foundation for our children. And so yeah, you can't undervalue that investment whatsoever. And it's a really exciting day here for Lakehead University and for Thunder Bay.
The funding for Lakehead will allow the university to expand its teaching programs, particularly in French, technology, and in northern and remote communities. University President and Vice Chancellor Gillian Siddall says the announcement comes at a critical time.
Well, it's so important. There's a shortage, as I said, right across the province, but the shortage is even more urgent here in the north and further north and in rural communities, Indigenous communities. So this funding allows us to address that shortage and make sure that those students in those regions get the education they deserve.
Siddall adds that the impact will be felt directly in classrooms once graduates begin teaching. Justin Hardy, TBT News.
Lakehead University has awarded the big contract for its new veterinary education building. Tom Jones Corporation was the lowest of the two bidders at $12.6 million. The building will be named Gakana Asanyag, which translates as Place for All Animals. A ground blessing ceremony was held in June at the future construction site behind the Bor-Alaskan Education Building. The new vet program has received $14.8 million from the province, including $4.5 million for the building. LU also got $10 million from a pair of private donors, Stu and Kim Lang from Guelph, who've donated tens of millions of dollars to universities and veterinary causes over the years. Construction is slated to begin this week and be finished next summer. The vet program is a partnership with Guelph University. Students will begin studying at LU in September of 2027. The chair of the Thunder Bay District Social Services Board says the agency had some very productive meetings with Ontario government ministers at last week's AMO conference in Ottawa. Brian Hamilton says one big item they pushed for was a dedicated supportive housing facility. He said that would free up beds at St. Joseph's Hospital and save the province money in the long run.
We met with the Associate Minister of Mental Health and Addictions, Vijay Tanigasalam, a minister that we've met a multitude of times. We have a great relationship. And we're asking at a specific ask for a dedicated supportive housing institution to help ease up some of the strains that we're seeing at St. Joe's Hospital. People are spending, sometimes months in beds when they could be in a cheaper, much more efficient model of service delivery in a dedicated facility and free up some of those beds at St. Joe's.
One of the other key topics discussed by local officials at AMO was the new federal child care program, specifically how it's being rolled out here in Ontario. Hamilton says the DSAB wants to support its early childhood education workers and ensure more funding is available to improve their wages.
Well, the ECE wages has increased over the last few years, but what really ultimately with the ECEs, what we're looking for is a pay grid so that there's an aspirational goal. Right now, there's just a particular, there's a wage, but it's a floor. So we really want to, create a wage grid so that there's an aspiration so people could see themselves not in just that position today, but indeed that there's a role there for them in the future. ECEs, childcare is absolutely critical. If you want to get this economy going, getting people back to work and providing quality care, ultimately we have to take care of the workers that are doing that frontline service delivery.
The East End Bridge, also known as the Pacific Avenue Overpass, was closed to all traffic again today for a structural inspection. City officials say the assessments are being carried out during the daytime hours, with the overpass reopening to motorists and pedestrians in the evenings. The detailed inspection is done every 2 years. City project engineer Mike Vogrig says it's meant to ensure the bridge's structural integrity from top to bottom by evaluating key components like decking, supports, and joints. The full rehabilitation of the bridge is slated for next summer.
So we're doing some detailed investigations to quantify the extent of the deterioration of the concrete, what kind of work needs to be done so we can put together a contract to go out sometime this winter, early spring for construction for next year. Yeah, a lot of it has to do with concrete repairs. So you have on the underside of the bridge is the biggest part. A lot of the piers have a lot of deteriorated concrete and cracking, so we want to get a lot of that fixed up. So they're doing some investigations on the top. It's better to get all the work done at once while we're here.
Drivers are being asked to use Main Street and Island Drive to access the East End while the inspections are carried out. Vogrig says depending on how things go, everything should be wrapped up by tomorrow evening. Well, not a bad day to be working outside if you're one of those inspectors out on the bridge, Haley. That's because it was a sunny and very seasonal late summer day here in Thunder Bay.
Yeah, it was pretty much spot on for what we're looking for at this time of year. A high of 22 today is what we reached, and that is a seasonal value as a norm for this time of the season. It was a nice sunny morning as well, with a mainly sunny afternoon, not getting too much cloud coverage, which is always good to see. And for the most part, wind-wise, we were fairly calm. There was a few hours that we saw gusts pop up here and there, and it did shift throughout the day as well. We saw gusts from the north-northwest around 30 kilometers an hour earlier in the afternoon for a brief period, and then just at this hour, the wind has shifted south, and we saw it gust up to 33 kilometers an hour. But for the most part, relatively calm, although last night was a cool one. And we saw that early this morning as well. Around 5 this morning, we reached our low of 5 degrees, which is below seasonal for this time of year. And that was kind of the trend around the region today. It was all about the bounce back. We saw a cold overnight drop, and then we saw a rise during the day today. So we're seeing a lot of areas, especially to the west, that are either right at seasonal or even a little bit better, as I'm pointing to you, Fort Francis. And it was quite lovely for the most part as well, sky conditions-wise. We saw a mainly sunny day, pretty much across the board. A little cloudier in Kenora, but they also saw their heat hold a little bit better overnight. They had a low of 11 and they've bounced up to 22. Elsewhere though, saw lows around 6 or 4 degrees and they've bounced up to seasonal, and even a few humidex values making it feel warmer, 24 feeling like in Red Lake. Now, there was a few areas that got even colder, Upsala and Armstrong in particular. Upsala saw a low of 1, and Armstrong did get to the freezing mark. They hit 0 early this morning, so it's nice to see them at 21 right now, and with a nice sunny, calm day. Greenstone's nice and sunny right now. They did experience some haze though, and they did have some wind gusts from the northwest at times. But the windiest spot was actually down in Sault Ste. Marie. They saw gusts up to 44 kilometers an hour from the northwest in the afternoon. But for the most part, not too bad. 17, and humidex not really playing a factor there. Now, tonight is where it gets interesting, because although our low will be a seasonal 9 tonight, it's this system that's moving through that could cause a little bit of fuss into our weekly plan. So we'll see increasing cloudiness overnight, and then around 4 a.m. we'll have a 40% chance of showers. Now, that's not too bad, but unfortunately it will go into tomorrow, and so we have some breaking weather-related news, which is that tomorrow's Live on the Waterfront Super Summer send-off with the drone show is postponed, unfortunately. Drones require a lot of setup, and rain is not conducive to that. But all other activities at this time are still planned to go ahead with the live music, the food vendors and artisans. So hopefully that could still continue if things clear up by late in the evening tomorrow. And Thursday's drone show is still planned, and the weather is looking much nicer for that day. So luckily we'll still have Thursdays, and we'll still get a second shot at seeing a drone show in September on September 19th, which is a Friday. That's when it's rescheduled, Ryan. So yes, unfortunately, the timing of our rain pop-up this week is not ideal, but it should clear up fairly quickly after tomorrow, and I'll have all the details on that afterwards.
Yeah, well, that is good news for a lot of people. I know thousands, no doubt thousands of people will be down at the marina and really all over the north end of the city to watch that drone show on Thursday. So glad to hear that's scheduled to still go ahead at this time. All right, thanks a lot, Haley.